So it's bench day, and we all know what happened the last time I did that. I'm using the football bar. So one thing I did was I really set that thing on the safeties because of how wide the bar is. I wanted to make sure if I did have to bail with the extra length of that bar, would the spotter arms even work for me? But I'm also changing the way I'm working out for a while. I'm no longer going to take sets to failure. I'm going to start doing more volume for the next few weeks. I'm a little bit, I think it's just safer. And if you guys have been working out for a long time, I got a little bit of a cheat code for you. Something that works. So say you've been doing a program and you've been doing it for, 6 months, a year. Just switching over to a new program, the initial change in stimulus gives you almost those newbie gains again. It's like since your body's starting something new, so the adaptations are new, and you get that you get a small boost out of it. It'll help you break through plateaus. And a lot of people were saying, well, when I switched to the high intensity when I was training with Bobby, I had my numbers shot up. And a lot of people speculated that that's the reason why that happened, was not so much his methods, but the fact that I was changing things up after having done things the way I was doing them for such a long time, and I was getting those newbie gains out of it. And I have to disagree, because if that was the case, I wouldn't have gotten 3 years out of it, 3 years of good numbers out of the training. That being said, it definitely did start reaching a ceiling where I was starting to maybe move backwards a little bit. So changing things up again, I'm starting to experience the same thing. My numbers are jumping up, and really all I've done differently in the last few weeks is just sort of change the rep range and volume and range of motions that I'm working with. And just like anything else, when the body's experiencing something new, you get that small window of exponential growth, and that could be a little bit of a cheat code or a hack for you guys that are maybe stuck at a plateau. Like, maybe consider changing things up a little bit. Like, if you've been doing the same program for months and months and months and your gains are stalling out, change things up. You change your grips up a little bit, change the variety of your lift up a little bit, change the rep ranges you're working with a little bit. If you're just doing nothing but heavy, doubles and triples, maybe start doing a little bit of volume. If you're doing nothing but high volume, sets of 8 to 10, maybe start bumping the weight up and doing a little more of the heavy triples and singles. And hey, what was I doing? I was doing both. Basically, I was rotating through those rep ranges. So I'd have 1 week where I'd have the higher volume, another week where it was moderate, and then a third week where it was heavy. And then we would just rotate through those. And then, of course, the other thing is I would also rotate through the varieties of the different lifts. So for bench, I'm not just always doing barbell bench. I'm doing the football bar. I'm doing the camber barbell, and I'm changing, the angle of the bench from a slight decline to a slight incline. So the variety was always rotating with the rep ranges, if that makes sense. Now, one of the criticisms I get is people will say, well, what are you're not even doing 405 pounds, or if you are, it's for an ugly touch and go. And, over a year ago, you were doing 415, 420 pounds. So you haven't made any progress. On paper, that's true. But if you guys recall, I believe it was November of 2022, I completely blew my shoulder out. Like, I had a tear in my rotator cuff, and my arm came out of its socket during competition. Like, I'd hurt myself previous to competition, and then my dumbass, instead of taking, dropping out of the meet because it was Worlds, I said, no, I'm going to compete. And I did some light benching, and I was able to get my opener. So I thought, at least I could do that. And then on the second attempt, I went for a heavier weight, and it just popped right out of the socket. And it was bad, So the fact that I am 100% fully recovered and I've lost no range of motion whatsoever is a testament to the program that I'm doing, which is also a variety of physical therapy stuff. So on top of the benching, where I'm rotating through the different barbells and rep ranges, I'm also doing a ton of physical therapy movements and then 2-3 days a week dedicated to just range of motion and body weight stuff. So it's kind of important to not only do your heavy lifts and your strength programming, but I think it's super important to be doing the little things too that help, take care of our joints, especially as we're getting older. So as you can see today, I just did a real basic workout. I worked up to like 335 pounds and just did 3 sets of 5, and then did some tricep pushdowns. The big thing I wanted to accomplish today is I kind of wanted to get my confidence back. So I picked a bar that is easy for me to use, the football bar. Some people it's harder, but for me it's a little bit easier, and I was changing the grips up. I was curious to see if I was stronger with the wider grips or the narrower ones. So I did basically 6 sets. I did 3 sets narrow, 3 sets wide. I got a nice amount of volume in with a weight that's easy to control. And I would say I got one of the better bench days that I've had in a long time because of the total overall volume that I do, which is a complete departure from the 1 rep to failure high intensity training that I have been doing for the last few years. I feel better, and it was a much more enjoyable training session. But the big thing was I wanted to make sure that, I was thinking about bench, and I was just thinking about that accident, and it was messing with me mentally. And it's been my experience when you do something as dumb as what I did, almost murdering myself. The best thing to do is to just, if you get bucked off the horse, get back on that sucker and start riding again. Don't let it mess with you mentally for too long. Otherwise, you'll start screwing yourself over. Just get back after it. Obviously, find out what you did wrong and fix that first. Address your issues. Whatever you did to get to that point needs to be resolved. And for me, that's simple. Just make sure the spotter arms are in place. It's pretty simple, but yeah, today was just a big, just get that little gremlin out of my head so that I can move forward without too much of a problem. Everything still works. I'm still here. My voice is still a little bit messed up, but we're good to go. Yep. And I really appreciate everybody. The last couple of weeks, you guys have all really been there for me while working through this. One of the worst moments I've ever had lifting, and I really appreciate it. If you got any use out of this, throw me a subscription, throw me a like. Love you guys. See you on the battlefield.